Oh, hey guys, just a quick video today. We're going to be checking out the Behringer Brains. Yeah, basically a Mutable Instruments Plaits with a bit of extra stuff on it. So yeah, join me for a little walk while we have a little talk about it. Behringer Brains. What's it all about? Well, it's a digital oscillator, I guess, and it's got a whole bunch of features that we all well know if you are experienced with Mutable Instrument stuff. But Behringer have added a few little sort of niceties to this. So obviously the first one is the definitely the oscilloscope, the little visual of the waveform there. That's actually a pretty cool thing. And also they've added a couple of extra waveforms as well. I think this path might be flooded. I can't go any further. All right, let's head back. Okay, so we're going to be checking out the Behringer Brains. There it is there. Let's have a little closer look at it. So it's kind of similar to the Mutable Instruments Plaits, but obviously that's what its algorithm is based on. The controls and all that sort of stuff is based on that. However, I like what Behringer have done with this. They've given it a oscilloscope there, which is going to be very handy in your sort of sound design when you're using this, because of all the different type of sound modification controls that we get with the timbre, the harmonics, the morphing, and then of course, obviously there's a frequency control there as well. It has two separate outputs. We'll go through what it does with the two outputs with a few of the various different algorithms that are in it. And obviously it's also got some CV controls with various of these inputs. What we might actually do here, which I've actually thought is a cool idea, is we might bring the Planar 2 into this, which is a joystick control CV controller. And we might use the Planar 2 to control some of this with the joystick control, and maybe we might have the fourth, maybe controlling a filter or something as well. I think that might be interesting to see how that becomes a nice, useful sort of sound design technique. I mean, obviously you don't need that. You can just control them with the controls directly on it. But I think before we do anything with this, I think the first thing we're going to need to do is connect this up to a PC or a Mac with the USB and check to see if the firmware is update on this. So let's plug this in and let's head on over to our Mac and see what needs to be updated. We'll just head on over to the Behringer website and just go to the Brains page here. And we're going to need to download some software. This is called SynthTribe. I actually haven't tried this out on the Mac. This is a Mac M1. And there it's found it. So Behringer Brains is there. Beautiful. Okay, so let's click Get Started. And it's just checking to see if the firmware is up to date, which it is. That's good news. And obviously there's nothing more to do. But obviously if you do keep track of the firmware updates from the Behringer website, you can actually quickly get access to all this sort of stuff. Let's have a look at the quick start guide. And I think what's really important here is while we're looking at this, we want to just have a look at just the general sort of lay of the land with this thing. One of the things I've noticed with this is that you'll notice that these little algorithm icons here, they're just painted onto the panel and they've got a little LED light in the middle. Now, what you'll notice is that one is green and one is red, and the light will turn green and red depending on which one you've got. And that's bank A and bank B, and you hit that with the bank button. We'll go through that in a sec, but what it's probably important to do is actually have a look at this waveform parameters page here. What you can see from this table is these icons represent all those on the front panel, and it will tell us what the waveform is, what type of effect the timbre knob does, the harmonic knob does, and the morph knob. And then also it'll tell us whether the out 2 does something different or whether it just replicates what is coming out the out 1 output. So you can see in all of these examples here, the out 2 is something different, but you get down to the Karplus Strong, it's just a copy of out 1. Other than the Karplus Strong and the Super Saw, the out 2 does something different, which is actually cool. So we can play around with out 1 and out 2 and work out what we're going to do with that, I think, using the mixer. All right, so I might actually grab this PDF as we head back to the Brains, and we'll have a look at all this sort of stuff while we're playing along. Okay, let's head on back to the Brains. We know she's up to date, so we can unplug the USB. That's always a good sign. Bye-bye USB. We don't need you anymore. What I want to show you is I'm going to be using the Behringer 305 mixer here. What we're going to do with output 1 and 2 is we're going to go into a VCA, which is down here, which is the 130 module, which is a System 100 clone VCA. And then that output is going to go in to the mixer. But what we can do is, once the 2 VCAs are over here on the mixer, which is the 305 module, we can pan these left to right and muck around with the panning if that makes any sort of benefit to you guys when you're listening to this. Anyway, let's stop yapping about. Let's go back to here and we'll have... Okay, before we get stuck into the rest of the Brains, we need to show you a couple of settings to make. First is to adjust the internal LPG or low pass gate and envelope. And to do that, we hold down the bank button and then you adjust the timbre or the morph knobs. Now the timbre knob will adjust the response of the LPG from VCFA to VCA. So let me just get a little arpeggiator thing going. All right, now we're going to adjust holding down the bank. That's a VCA. That's a VCFA. So the VCA, we're adjusting the morph. Okay, the next one is the adjusting the frequency knob range, and this adjusts basically the octaves. You do that by holding down the Modal and the Harmonix. So let's do that arpeggiator again. That's it. And just one other thing before we get on to all the patches and everything in here. I just want to mention that there was a firmware update announced just recently on the Behringer Facebook group. Just remember, this video was filmed probably over about the last 30 days. So they've just announced it. I'm not going to include that update in this video just because we can't get the editing and everything done with the new features. So we'll put the video out as of now, and then I'll show any new features that may or may not be in that firmware update in a video coming very shortly. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, let's get on to the rest of the modules. Okay, we're going to go through each of them and we're going to talk about what they're able to do, and we'll play with the timbre, harmonics and morph on each of them. So with the virtual analog, which is the one we're starting on now, the timbre adjusts square wave, narrow, pulse, full square, hard sync, formant. Okay, that looks like a triangle. Now the output is a sum of 2 hard synced waveforms. So the output on 2, which is the right channel, let's pan these so that they're center, so we've got both of them coming out on the same. And let's turn the output 2 off. Okay, and then the Harmonix detunes between the two waves. And then the morph is the saw triangle to a wide notch saw. Okay, so that's how we can get our saw. There's the saw, and then to a notch saw, and then to almost a square wave, isn't it? Right, let's bring up that second oscillator. Second output, I should say. Right. Now the detuning, let's get that square wave happening. The detuning between the two. Now just to let you guys know that none of this is going through a filter, it's just going through a VCA and the envelope generator on the VCA. We are using the Frequency Central System X envelope down here. We could also use the one next to it. We can try them out, but just to get a bit more release. We can get really snappy envelopes on this. The reason why I want to do that is because I want to show some of the percussive stuff a bit later. Let's go across to the next algorithm. The next algorithm is the wave shaping one. We're resetting the knobs so we know what they're doing. The timbre is the wave folder amount. Let's get a bit more release on this. Just the second output on the wave shaping is a variant with the other waveform curve. The Harmonix is the wave shaper waveform. I am noticing a little bit of a crackle there. This is digital, so that would be the DA causing that crackle, I would say. And the morph is a waveform symmetry. It's quiet, this one, isn't it? There is no volume control as such on this. Obviously your VCA is going to be the volume control, but my VCAs are set to about half. I can increase the volumes on these to full. Now we'll go with the FM operators, FM2 operators it's called, which is the next one across, this one here. We've got modulation mix on the timbre. Now we need to back off our VCA. I'm noticing just with some of these that the sound needs to either be half on my VCA or full, so we'll just have to keep playing with that. You can also use the mixer. Now, the next one across is the Harmonix. That adjusts the frequency ratio. And then the last one is the morph, which, okay, so greater than 12 o'clock is operator 2. So from there, that's operator 2. Modulates its own phase, and less than 12 o'clock, operator 2 modulates the operator 1 phase. You get some really nice sounding FM sounds there. Grains is another one. These are all pretty much the original Plaits waveforms. So we'll start off with formant frequency. And then you've got frequency between formant 1 and 2. Just with this, the output of the second one is a simulation of filtered waveforms, and the morph is the formant width and shape. What would be interesting is to get an LFO happening. I've got an LFO down here on the Behringer 150 module. How can we LFO? Well, LFO the let's do the timbre. That seemed to have more effect. Now if we speed the LFO up, let's go a bit faster. Remember, that's the formant frequency that we're LFOing there. We can do like a square wave. Interesting stuff. Take the LFO out for now. Let's go to the additive. Most prominent harmonic is the timbre. And then you've got the number of bumps in the spectrum as the harmonics. Definitely doing that there. And then you've got the bump shape. So you can have flat and wide to peaked and narrow. You can get some real bell sounds out of this. Put a delay on this, see what it sounds like. Real wind chimey stuff. Let's put a bit of reverb on this. Bit of reverb on that. That's from the Big Sky Clouds algorithm. Right, listen to some chords now, don't we? Okay, chord, inversion, transposition is the timbre, so the chord root note is the second output. Chord type is on the harmonics. Let's LFO that chord type, see what happens. Waveform is the morph. Some fun with chords. Next one is speech. Right, vocal timbre from deep to high is the timbre. Not doing anything there. Scrolls through the formant types of SAM to LPC, vowels and words is the harmonics. Alright, let's get an LFO happening on that one. Karplus Strong is the next one. Brightness of dust noise. String stiffness. And morph does the decay. Let's get a LFO on that. Always sounds good with a delay, this one. Try a big reverb. Nice. Next is a super saw. Right, this one's fun. Sets the number of waveforms first, so I'm gonna, let's get a few waveforms happening there. Next we're gonna adjust the harmonic content. Can play with that in a sec. The morph is the good one. This is the sub-oscillator level. Reverb. Obviously all this will sound even better through a filter and things like that. We can do that in a sec. Now we go to the last one, which is the Wavetable oscillator, and we rotate through different waves with the timbre. We select between 4 interpolated banks followed by the same 4 banks in reverse order without interpolated. And this is the column index. So all basic wavetable stuff. Not really a lot to show there. Let's go down to the second bank, which is the green stuff below. And if we hit the model button again, it rotates back to the start. And then we go there, you'll notice the LED changes to green. And now we're looking at this green row here. First one is rain. So obviously that's a noise, but it's got grain density, amount of pitch randomization, and you've got droplet duration on the morph. So let's put that with some delay. Can have a lot of fun with that one. Next is noise. This is the clock frequency. So this is a good 8-bitty sounding noise, very similar to a SID. Now you can scroll through some filter responses with this Harmonix. Sort of getting into high pass, band pass here, low pass there. And morph will show us our resonance so we can get it really almost to a sine wave there. Alright, let's get an LFO happening. Good fun. We have dust, which is kind of like noise. Alright, now dust, what it does is it has particle density. So you've got particles happening. You have frequency randomization here. And this scrolls through with morph, reverberating all pass filters followed by increasingly resonant band pass. Right, delay. Bit of fun. There's a lot in this module, isn't there? Next is the modal strings, so we'll do that. All right, with modal strings, we're going to excite brightness and dust density, and then we're going to use harmonic colorization, and this is delay time, decay time. So I'm just going to do it without delay, but you wait till I put the delay on this, it sounds amazing. This is starting to get into the rings sort of module territory. Right, let's do the delay now. If you put a subtle LFO on the Harmonix, lots of fun. Next one is an FM drum. Okay, so this one's going to control the cutoff, low pass. This is going to blend between the harmonic content. And this is going to scroll through the, just the decay time. We probably should take that out. Right, bass drum is next. This is the brightness of the attack, frequency. Morph is the decay time again. Then we have the snare. This is the balance between different modes of the drum. Then we have a hi-hat. Now I mentioned before with these, using an envelope helps. So short little envelopes helps. Cowbell is next. Can never have enough cowbell, hey? It's like a filter or brightness. This is the texture. So it's like a bandpassy sort of texture. And then morph is just decay again. Reverb. It's not really a lot on that one. The last one is toms. That's it. We've gone through all of the algorithms. Well, there you go. There's Brains. Hope you enjoyed it. It's a great module. Thanks, Behringer, for bringing it out. I really